Welcome aboard, thanks for watching as I take you through this lesson where we are going to learn how to use the if functions and then the rank functions as it was asked by one of the students in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so let's start with the if function. Now on my screen I have a sample worksheet which has students and their performances in ICT, and then we are expected to give a comment after every student. Now in this lesson we are going to see how we can comment the students using the if function in two ways. Okay, so the first method is this. So I am going to just add on to something here to show that is method number one. Let me just increase this, and then I will say method one. So I want you to know that this is method number one and this is method number two. So here we are going to, in this column C, we are going to comment on each of these students using method one of the if statement. Okay, and then in this other column we are going to comment using method two of using the if statement. So let's start with the first method. Okay, now the if statements are always used to perform logical tests, and after a logical test has been performed, we expect Excel to return for us a result which will either be a true result or will be a false result. So the conditions, the tests, you are the one supposed to type it so that Excel can always perform that test and then displays for you the result after performing it. So let's get started. Now the first method is we are going to be able to comment besides each of these students, but our comments are going to be based on two words. One is either someone has passed or someone has failed. So we have two methods, not methods. We have two comments, either someone has passed or someone has failed. So according to us, if someone has got a mark less than 50, someone has got a mark which is above 50, then the person has passed. Then if someone gets a mark which is less than 50, then the person has failed. Okay. So let's say if someone gets a mark which is greater than or equals to 50, then the person has passed. But if it gets less than 50, then the person has failed ICT as a subject. So those are the conditions we are going to be using to place a comment besides each of these students. So let's do it. Now you don't need to write this. I have written this so that you can follow what I am doing. Now here, using our first method, we are going to start writing the if statement. So first thing you do, you place an equal sign, and then after the equal sign you put the if function name, and then you open the parenthesis. So once you open the parenthesis, just below here you will see kind of a guide that guides you how the if function is used always to perform tasks. So there, the first thing after opening the parenthesis, you are required to place a logical test, and the logical test we are going to write it in this format. So there is no need for us to perform a logical test on all these other students at once. We have to first of all concentrate on the first person, who is Gerald. Okay, so our logical test is going to be something like this. So we are going to say Gerard, first of all, Gerard's ICT mark is in this cell called cell B2. Okay, so you can either write there B2. When you write B2, you'll see that Excel makes kind of a square selection of that cell that you are using, or you can just click on the cell. You see, it's just the same thing. So we are saying that Excel should perform for us this test, and the test is B2 is greater than if B2 is greater than or equals to 50. Okay, if B2 is greater than or equals to 50, that's the logical test we have seen. Okay, so what are we trying to tell Excel here? So we are trying to tell Excel that please go to cell B2, check for the value that is there, and then find out whether the value that is in that cell is greater than or equals to 50. Now, when Excel performs a check, it will either be true that the value there is greater than or equals to 50, or the value that is there is not greater than 50. Okay, it's not less than or greater than 50, but it's below 50. So what should, now after Excel finding out its result, we don't know whether the result is going to be true or false. So after it finds out, that's where now you have to put a comma, and then you place a value to return. Okay, can be a text, okay, to return, to show you that the value that has been written in that cell B2 is true, is yes, it's greater than or equals to 50, or it's below 50. So the value to return, if true, we can say passed. Okay, passed. Now I have written passed, but there's something I have to do to make my if statement correct. Okay, now after writing passed, I have to place the text to be returned in quotes. So I have to place the text to be returned in quotes, just like you're seeing there. Okay, so what we should have done was to do like this. So after a comma, after writing your logical test, you place a comma, you open quotes, and there write the value or the statement to return whether the test is true. Then what of the statement to return whether the test, when the test is not now true, it's now false? So you place a comma again, then you open quotes, and then say failed. Okay, so you can see that we are almost done with writing the if statement that will return for us a comment for that particular student. So the first thing we did was to open the equals, to write the equal sign. Of course, all functions that you are writing, you must make sure that you start with the equal sign, because you want, after the computation has been done, you need a result to be displayed in that particular cell. So you write an equal sign, then you write the if function name, you open the parenthesis, then you put the logical test, which is this. After the logical test, you now give the values to return if the test is true, and then also you say otherwise. That otherwise now it's just this comma that says that what if now the test is not true, what should you return? That's why you put the comma and you said return failed. Now you see that we opened the parenthesis, but we didn't close, so we can now close the parenthesis, and then we are done. You can now press the enter key on your keyboard, or you can come and click on this icon. So click on it, and then you see that Gerard has passed. Gerard has passed the exam, okay, because we are seeing that text being written passed. So how do you find out whether Mary has passed, whether Tracy has failed or not, whether Daniel has failed or has passed? So what we do is we use the autofill handle. So I click on the passed, the cell that is having the computation for Gerald, and then just on the bottom right hand corner here I place the cursor, hold down the left mouse button, and then I drag to automatically fill these other cells with that very function I have written, so that they can also be recalculated, automatically calculated in correspondence to their marks, the marks that they have got after the test. So I release my cursor. So you see that according to our function, Mary has failed, Tracy has failed, Daniel has failed. So that is method number 1. So method number 2. So method number 2, we are going to write the if function using a different. You're going to write it. It's not very different from the first method, but there's something additional. So here we are going to, so this other method works when you have 2 or more tests to be performed. Here we had 2 tests to be performed, yes, but we never wrote all of them. We just wrote 1 test, just like you can see, we wrote 1 test, and then we gave the value to return if the test is true, and then like that. So here we are going to write 2 tests in the same statement. So let's start. So we are going to say equal sign. As always, we write the if function name, we open the parenthesis, and then we still refer to that particular cell, okay, and then we say if that value in cell B2 is greater than or equals to 50, comma, return for me, that's where now you put the quotes, return for me if it is true, yes, if it is true, if it is like that, return for me a text which says passed. Then again you put a comma, and then you will write another test to be performed. So we can say if this time you don't put an equal sign, the equal sign must be written only the first time you are opening the if function. So after the comma, you again type if, you open quotes as though again you are starting afresh. Then you are still referring to the same cell, you just go and click on it again, or you just type B2. So B2, the same cell which is having that same value, if it is, the value is less than 50, you see now that's another test. Then you put a comma, return for me a text which says failed. Then again you close the quote. Okay. Now this time the closing of the parenthesis is going to be different from the first method's closing, because here we opened 2 parentheses. We have 2 parentheses, but we have not closed them. We have been opening them and we have not closed them. So sometimes you might have a question that prompts you to open as many parentheses as you can be 8, can be 10, can be 15. So each time you open, you don't close them, you just close them at the end when you have finished writing the if statement. So here we are going to close all of them at once. So we are going to press shift and then the 0. Of course, that's how you close the parentheses. So you close the first one. So when you close the first one, you see it shows the color of the previous one. So again, you close another one because there are 2. The first one was here, then the the parent is here. So we close them, and there we go. So that is our second method. So we said write the equal sign as usual, open write the if function statement, open parenthesis, and then you write the first logical test to be performed, and when that test is true, write the text that has to be returned, and then the text to be returned has to be placed in quotes, just like you can see. Then again you press you make sure you type a comma, you open another statement, you write its logical test also, and then you write the value to be returned when that test is true. So when Excel performs a test on this very cell, it will not return all these values to return. If this test is the one which is true, it's going to be only that one which is true, and it will return passed. If this one is the one which is true, it will return failed. So let's press enter, or you can just click on this. When you click on that, you see it brings for us the same result as it brought in method 1. So here you can also place the cursor here, and then you hold down the left mouse button, you copy that function downwards so that these other cells are also automatically calculated, then you release your hands. So that is all for this if function lesson. Let's look at the rank function also. In this other discussion, we are going to see how we can use the rank function to perform tasks like getting positions of students. In this example, we are dealing with students because we have the information already in this spreadsheet. So here we have students' performances, assuming this is a primary school, and we have their performances in each of the subjects, and we had to total using the sum function to get their total marks. Now we want to know, assuming you're a class teacher, and you want to know the student who is number 1 in the class, and then the student who is number last, and in that order. So we use the rank function to get this. So the rank function can also be performed using 2 ways, just like we saw in the if function before. So let's rank these students. Let's get the position. So let's first make sure we put column name so that we know where we are going to write the function. So that's where the position is going to be placed. So here we are going to use the rank function. The function we are going to use is called rank. So we are going to say equal sign rank, just like we did in the if function. We said equal sign then if. So here we say equal sign, then the function name is rank. After doing that, we open a parenthesis also. So you'll find that the syntax, the rule of writing the rank function, is pretty much different from the syntax of writing the if function statement. So here, after writing the rank function name, you are expected to place the number which you are ranking. So we know that the number which is in F2 is the total mark obtained by Gerard, and we know it is 250, but we can't write that 250. What you're going to write is, we can write the 250, right? But here we are going to write the cell address of where the 250 is being placed. So we just click on that cell so that the address is written there, F2. So after clicking, the syntax tells us that after writing the number you are ranking, you press a comma. So after putting the comma, you now put the reference. Okay, you are ranking that 250 out of which values? Okay? What are the values, the other values that you are ranking 50 basing on. So the values are also here, the total marks of other students are also here. So what you do, you just hold down the left mouse button on the first one, you drag down your cursor downwards so that the range of cells is defined for you there. Okay, so after defining the range of cells, you have to make sure that you lock cells. Okay, so you have to make sure that you lock cells. So we are going to lock cells, but not now, because I want you to first of all be able to identify the reason as to why we lock cells. So let's assume we are not going to lock. So after defining the cell and the range of cells in which 250 should be ranked basing on, then the syntax tells us you press a comma, and then you define the order. Are you ranking the person in ascending order, or you are ranking the total mark in descending order? So the orders can be defined by either 0 or 1. So 0 means you have said rank in descending order, 1 means you have said rank in ascending order. So in this case, to position these students, we are ranking them in descending order, so we have to place the value 0, and then we can close the parenthesis and press enter. So when you press enter, the function will be able to rank Gerard's total mark and then says that Gerard is number 1 in that class. Now let's look at the positions of other students in that same class. So click on that Gerard's result, and then use the autofill handle to drag the function downwards. Now this is the answer the result that we get after copying Gerald's answer downwards to these other cells. You'll find that we have Mary and Tracy being placed in position number 2, but when you look at their total marks, they are not the same. They don't have the same total marks. Even Daniel and Gerard, they are all number 1s, but they don't have the same total marks. So that means from here to here is wrong, although here is correct. Now let's see the change that happened. Now when you look at the rank function we typed before, we said rank for us 250, which is in cell F2, and then rank 250 basing on the values that are in from F2 up to F5, which means F2, F3, F4, F5, then rank in descending order. That one was correct. Then when you come here to the second one for Mary, when you check Mary's arguments, okay, things placed inside the parenthesis, you will see that Mary is being ranked starting from F3. That means we have excluded Gerard. So Mary is number 2 here because she has been ranked from where she is going downwards. That means Gerard has again been left out. Okay, so each time we copy a function to another cell, the cell addresses, the ranges keep on adjusting like that. So we need to, you see this one also, Tracy was ranked from where she is going downwards. So we need to prevent that from happening. So let's first highlight this. We copy it, then you delete, press the delete key on the keyboard so that they go away. Then before we start copying Gerald's function, we need to lock cells. Okay, we shall come in front of, we are just going to lock the range of cells. These other ones can adjust, but we're just going to lock the ranges only. So we come in front of the F, plus a $sign, come in front of the 2, plus a $sign, in front of the F, press also a $sign, here also plus a $sign. So that is how you lock cells, so that they don't adjust, they remain static even if you copy the same function to other cells. So you press enter, and then Gerard is number 1 as usual. Then this time we are going to copy the formula downwards, and then you'll see that the other instance at first is no longer there. So that is how you write the if function statement. So the second method is this. So the second method, we are going to just say equal sign, rank, open the parenthesis, click on that cell which has the value you are ranking, place a comma, then you say F to F, because you are ranking it basing on values that are in that column and including that very cell, each cell that has a value. So F to F, then put a comma, and then you define the order, which is descending order. You close quotes, press enter, and then when you copy the same function downwards, it gives you the same answer. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.